Apex Legends Season 22 contains one of the largest updates Apex has seen in a long time, and today we are going to be ranking where every legend is in the current meta, but this time we're doing things a little bit differently. We are ranking each legend for general power, but also getting to the upper ranks. This means prioritizing winning, not 3-stack preds running lobbies down. We begin with the Assault legends, who are mostly solid right now, but unfortunately we do have to begin with one that is a little bit weaker. I give Ashe a straight CC rating for both general play and ranked. C for me are the fine legends in Apex, but unfortunately, there really is nothing Ashe does that is purely unique or needed. What she brings doesn't contain too many benefits over the other legends. There's better choices for movement that are similar to Ashe's ultimate phase breach. There being more survey beacons hurts her passive deathbox tracking and that tracking pulse upgrade, and her tactical has some potential, but again, there's other abilities that do way more damage or are way more practical and simply just more useful. I still think there is a lot of potential in Ashe's kit, and with a small buff, she could skyrocket. Ballistic for me sees a small turnaround this season, mainly due to some factors around him. I give Ballistic a B rating for general play, as I think having akimbo weapons in his sling is honestly pretty nuts. Not to mention he had a slight buff with his tactical locking on a little bit faster. If you are looking to pub it out and just have a good time taking fights, he's not bad for this. However, if you do want to play ranked, I think he's a little bit lower, and he is in C for this. He doesn't really bring much that is needed for ranked play, and you will be way better off getting something like a control or a movement legend into the squad. Now that those two are out of the way, let's talk about some of the powerhouses in Season 22. The first is Mad Maggie, rocking a double A placement. Maggie is going to absolutely farm the season, and this is because of two factors. For pubs, she's going to be incredibly good to push on the new map E District, since there are so many buildings and doorways, whereas for ranked, controllers are going to be way more prevalent due to their changes, and thus a legend like Mad Maggie will be able to excel with her tactical drill and ultimate wrecking ball to break up those barriers and push in. If you want to run and gun with akimbo Mozambiques, then there may be no better legend than Mad Maggie to do this with her passive shotgun perks. Mag's partner in crime is Fuse, and Fuse absolutely deserves some big props this season, and it is why I am putting him in the double S tier rating. This may be surprising for some, but there's a few things we really need to consider when you look at Fuse. For one, pubs are going to be more crowded than ever due to the respawn mode, and much like Maggie, Fuse's clusters are going to excel at applying pressure in and around buildings on E District. Second is that for ranked, he still has the ability to ping ring consoles, and thus it gives him a lot of value to figure out where to rotate to. Fuse's ability to carry more grenades gives him a ton of endgame value, where again, more players will be grouped up, and his mother load is still going to be great to completely change games in your favor. The last Assault legend is Bangalore, and Bang for me is still one of the best legends, if not the best legend in the game, and I give her the double god tier rating. Straight up, there's not a lot Bangalore cannot do, and while this is not a competitive ranking list, there's a reason why 95% and more of ALGS players pick Bangalore. She's versatile, smoke yourself for concealment, smoke enemies, breach gaps with double time, apply relief or pressure with her ultimate rolling thunder. She is truly the most pure hybrid legend in all of Apex, and someone really anyone cannot go wrong with using. And of course, she is unlocked for everyone right off the rip, which is good if you are coming back to the game. If you missed it, Recon legends now get threat detection when aiming down sights, which isn't wall hacks, but rather just lets you more easily identify where legends are. With this, let's talk about the legend who I covered most recently in my Master Guide series, Seer. As of last season, Seer was the lowest picked legend in the game. I think Seer is going to have some general play viability, so I do place him in B for this, as he will be able to pick out all those rats that are going to be hiding on E District, and his 2 tactical scan charges upgrade does allow him to be a little bit more versatile when a lot of enemies are around. However, when it comes to purely ranked, I do not think Seer is going to be really that necessary. I'd rather have a more aggressive Bloodhound or the intel Vantage can bring to the squad. Not to mention, Crypto is winding up to be a really interesting choice this season with the amount of total intel that he can gather. Seer is not bad, but much like many other legends on the lower end, there's others that do similar things and are just better. Vantage's ultimate saw a nice little buff this season, as it does more damage against marked enemies. Also, since there are more survey beacons, she can use her tactical to access these quicker, giving the squad more intel. I give her a B rating for general play and an A rating for ranked. Her tactical leap isn't really that fast and is slow compared to some of the other movement legends in the game, but it did get some really nice tweaks to allow you to jump without having a line of sight on Vantage's bat. One of the bigger drawbacks for Vantage is honestly her hitbox. It's kind of big, making her easy to beam in one-on-ones. I do think her having the ability to scan both survey beacons through her class and ring consoles through her upgrades gives her a ton of value in ranked, and being able to see an enemy squad squad shield status, plus if they are even a full team, is massively useful when you are picking fights in Apex's more competitive mode, but I just don't quite seeing her core usefulness changing that much that would put her in S or higher tiers. A double A tier rating of amazing is what I am giving Bloodhound. We saw some nerfs to the Hound last season, but as a whole, I still think there's a lot of value there. They are solid for taking fights and being more aggressive with their ultimate, and not to mention scanning enemies is great for the entire team to make smarter plays without communication, which we know randoms don't do that. While Bloodhound has had many ups and downs in Apex, I think they are still in a fair spot today and viable for both pubs and ranked. If you are newer or returning to the game, Bloodhound gets my recommendation as one of the best beginner-friendly legends due to their simplicity and the value that they provide. Our last Recon legend, and arguably the most interesting this season, is going to be Dripto, and a legend who I used to be extremely fond of. However, this season, Crypto has a lot of value. For one, Crypto now gets invisibility while he is using the drone via his first upgrade. This is actually kind of broken, and I am expecting a timer to be added to how long the cloak lasts, but for now, he is going to be insane to use the drone without having to really worry about getting jumped on. Crypto is the go-to legend to see how many teams are around, which means you should never really get surprised on by a random third party or jumped on by a ratting team if you are being attentive to your surroundings. And one of the biggest things going for him in Season 22 is the survey beacon change. Yes, all Recon legends get to scan these, but since Crypto can remotely scan the beacons with his drone, this means he can very easily scan beacons mid-fight to get live intel gathering on enemies for the entire squad. Crypto gets a B rating for general power, as I don't think he's really that needed in the faster paced pubs, but for ranked, he gets a strong A tier rating and is absolutely amazing for this. Crypto also saw a number of smaller buffs that we don't have time to go over, and I think he has a lot of real potential this season. Crypto might see improved viability this season, but if you want to truly make the most of your Apex experience, you should never play with random players. It absolutely blows. Hop into my community Discord and find some like-minded players to squad up with, or you can ask me any Apex questions that you might have. When I rank the legends, I never look at things in silos. I factor in the other legends' power, the weapon meta, and even the map rotation. The maps in particular this season are a massive factor, as E-District is a map that is large and has a ton of verticality, which does lead us to the Skirmisher legends. Octane is long removed from his days of stimming on the competition, but for general play, he's still great with a B rating. For ranked, he falters a little bit more, and I do place him in C here. Octane's more recent upgrade change of reducing the stim damage does give him glimpses of the old days, but for the most part, Octane is an extremely selfish and solo-oriented legend, which is okay for pubs, but not needed in ranked at all. Octane's pad does lend nicely to some early rotations, but as a whole, something still feels off for the Speedster. I would love to see his launch pad timer get reverted back to the 60 seconds it used to be. I think this would be a fair adjustment these days, and it wouldn't be game-breaking in today's meta. In a somewhat similar vein to Octane, we have Apex's first love and sweat legend, Wraith. Wraith is a really solid general power legend, as her super small hitbox lets her excel in fights, and her tactical is still very viable to reset engagements and live longer. It is, however, ranked where I think Wraith's need starts to diminish beyond the ability to rotate with her ultimate portal. I just don't think she has a ton of use these days. A Pathfinder zipline is going to be way more needed on the new map, and as would abilities like Altar's Tactical or Horizon's Lift, I give Wraith an A rating for pubs and a B rating for ranked. Since we did just mention Altar, let's take a look at Apex Legends' newest legend as of Season 21. At the start of Season 21, I said I think Altar has a decent amount of power, but is not going to be able to make it to the top tiers, and this largely turned out to be true. This season, Altar does get a nice upgrade change of allowing her to ping ring consoles, and her ultimate had a slew of smaller buffs. Ring consoles will absolutely make her more relevant in ranked, where you need that intel, but at the same time, I already see many players choosing a controller legend, so I'm not quite sure if this will have enough of an impact to select Altar over a lot of those other roller legends. I give her an A rating for ranked Apex, but in pubs, I slightly knock her down to B. She still has a lot of really useful movement capabilities through her tactical, which I find to be not only fun, but also to be very useful in both modes. I do think it's Altar's ultimate that still brings her down. Yes, being able to reset an engagement or get a knocked teammate to safety is nice, but it's very reactionary, and it doesn't feel that natural to use, even after all of the quality of life buffs that it did have this season. I honestly don't have too much to say about Valkyrie, but I do give Valk a B rating for general power and A for trying to reach those upper ranks. I honestly kind of miss the days where Valkyrie felt way more useful, but it's no secret, since evac towers came into the game, she just is not that needed anymore. That being said, E-District will make Valkyrie a little bit more relevant, as flying up to height and getting in and around buildings with her passive is going to be useful. I don't think she's going to be that great of a pub legend, but in ranked, when you need that super rotational help from that skyward dive, I think there is still some value here when an evac or the movement on the map is isn't going to cut it. If you want a legend who might have the most freedom when it comes to engagements though, I think Valk is still a really solid option. One of those legends who I still think has a lot of value is Horizon. The verticality on E-District means Horizon's tactical lift is going to get a ton of usage. Since this is only a tactical ability, this does give her a slight edge over legends that have to use an ultimate to move around like Ashe's Portal or Valkyrie's ultimate. It's kind of crazy that Horizon has had a dozen nerfs and she is still relevant in Apex. Her passive movement lets her be harder hit with air strafing and sliding around, whereas her black hole might not be the best, but it is still viable to distract enemies for just long enough to make a big play. Horizon gets the double A tier rating for me and is one of Apex Legends all around great options. A legend who in my eyes has dethroned Horizon for the pure movement and fragging capability is going to be Revenant. Revenant has gotten a lot of nerfs over the last couple seasons, but even with these, Revenant is an absolute eliminating machine that any pub fragger would love to have. Because of this pub power, I do give him an S tier rating. I am kind of a broken record at this point, but again, E-District is going to massively take advantage of Revenant's higher climbing and tactical pounce. There's a lot of harder to climb areas on this map, and he will completely bypass all these areas, giving his team a lot of utility in fights. Rev isn't the best ranked legend, as he is mostly a solo-esque legend, so I do give him an A rating for this, but if you want to play matches more aggressively, then he may be the best in the game if you purely want to go into pushing mode. Our final Skirmisher legend is a legend who has continually seen a revival in Apex, and it is Pathfinder. There is a lot to unpack with this legend, but I give Pathfinder a god tier rating for general power and an S rating for ranked Apex. First off, E-District, Broken Moon, and Stormpoint are all going to greatly benefit from Pathfinder Zipline, being able to rotate the squad massive distances, and honestly, quite frequently via his passive Zipline cooldown reset, is going to help keep the team in the power position. Pathfinder has great individual movement to take angles, stop enemies from escaping, and pushing the pedal, all because of that tactical grapple. If this is not enough, Path can choose which type of intel to give the team through either survey beacons or ring consoles, increasing his versatility depending on the squad's composition. The only thing that hurts Path is his massive refrigerator-like size, but as a whole, Pathfinder is too good to not use right now. There's a reason why he almost has a 25% pick rate in the upper ranks, and it's not because he is just fun to use. The support legends in Apex haven't really had any big changes this season, but there are a few notable changes we do need to discuss. We're going to kick it off with the King of Trickery, Mirage. Unfortunately, one of my most played legends in Apex is on the bottom with a C tier rating for general power, and for the upper ranks, there's no denying it. Mirage's power is kind of determined by the level of competition, and while you can outskill yourself a little bit, when everyone in those upper plat, diamond, and master lobbies has better awareness, you really cannot pull off as many big plays as you can in the lower ranks. This doesn't mean he's bad or unusable though. If you want to just run around trying the style on enemies, I think Mirage is a fine pub legend, but I would love to see Mirage get a real rework that increases his power. I will give a nod or a tip of the hat to his upgrade that does give him a 30-second ultimate timer. This can be pretty solid to extend your life and reset the squad. Gibraltar gets a minor little buff this season, but not directly to his kit. Since there is a new hop-up for LMGs that gives them a gun shield, Gibraltar can't get this hop-up, and it will enhance his gun shield a little bit farther, which I think has more value than any other legend simply getting a gun shield. I don't think Gibby is necessarily a must pick though, and he does have a double B rating for both of my rankings. He requires a very skilled player, and I am very curious to see how he shakes up with the shotgun buffs we did just get. This could increase his usage as the season goes on, and I will keep a close eye on this, but for the most part, there's other legends who bring way more to the team. I'll also state that I think E-District is such a big part of the season. Legends like Bangalore and her ultimate Rolling Thunder and Gibraltar's defensive bombardment lose a little bit of use as there's so many buildings and objects that you can just hide under. I used to think very highly of Newcastle, but with the way Apex Legends has transformed over the past few seasons with the current Lifeline meta, it's hard to recommend Newcastle as much as I used to. That being said, Newcastle is still a very solid legend. I give Newcastle a B rating for general power, as I think he's great but not amazing. His general use just is not needed in Apex Legends more casual modes. However, when you swap to ranked, him being a support legend and being able to control area with his ultimate and even help the team on rotation via his tactical is pretty awesome. Not to mention comboing in the tactical with the passive revive shield can make it nearly impossible to stop a Newcastle from reviving a teammate. I give Newcastle an A rating for ranked because of this. If you want to really be the squad savior, he's a really great option. This season, reason I am giving Conduit a double A rating, as she still has a lot of viability in both modes. If you want to play very aggressively in pubs, her tactical shields can really be useful to keep the pressure and keep the squad alive. I also think that she has equal viability in ranked, but it's more so because her ultimate that it can help her team live a little bit longer through that area control. Conduit being a support legend opens the option for the team to again craft banners, which I think is going to be a continued very valuable asset to have in ranked. I think the few nerfs that she has had over the past couple seasons have affected her overall power, but she's still an all-around amazing option if you are looking for one of Apex's most purely supportive legends that actually is going to be able to heal your teammates in the middle of a fight. If you got that bot-like game, then Loba might just be the option for you. Much like Conduit, Loba also gets the double A ranking as one of Apex Legends' all-around useful legends, whether it's getting more loot faster in pubs to take more fights to get better at Apex, or getting more loot faster to get better positioning in ranked. Loba is going to be there to help you out. A support legend having more movement is also a nice added bonus, as she is one of the best legends at getting away to conserve RP and rank up. Loba's passive isn't necessarily useful all game long, but I do find off the drop it can be a game changer to get the best gear as fast as you possibly can. If you are struggling with your aim, I find most people like to have a Loba on the team, and I would look at her if you still want to be useful, but you can't shoot your guns. It's so interesting how Apex Legends metas can evolve over time. There can be very minimal changes to Apex, but sometimes it's enough to skyrocket a legend. This is kind of the case for Lifeline, who I give the double S tier rating. This may be kind of controversial, but it's hard not to look at the power she has. Yes, Lifeline's upgrades had a nerf where she won't get an Evo upgrade anymore, but being able to pick this gold loot upgrade and still get a guaranteed knockdown shield is pretty wild. This means Lifeline should always be the first one to get purple armor as fast as she possibly can, and having a gold knockdown on the team early on and really at any point in a game is an absolute game changer. Since there is so much playable space, the opportunity to reset an engagement and keep the team up with Lifeline is going to be enhanced a little bit in Season 22. She might not have what it takes to be a fun pub fragger, but since Lifeline is so simple and so useful, I think she has a lot of value for really anyone at any skill level in all of Apex Legends modes. Our last but certainly not least class of legend is going to be the controllers, and these contain some of Apex Legends' most exciting changes for Season 22. However, I do want to mention, if you like this new format of ranking video, let me know with a like and a comment down below. This type of format takes a ton more time and work, and I'd love the feedback if it's actually worth me doing. We will start with who may be the weakest of the controllers right now, and it is surprisingly caustic. It should be noted, controller legends this season had a huge buff of allowing them to now get a bonus 25 shields when they are inside the safe zone of the rings. This means when you see a caustic off the drop, and if he is in the ring, he's got not only 175 total health, but he is fortified, so he's playing out like a legend with 200 health and shields or purple armor, and all he did was spawn in. So this advantage can't be understated, but as a whole, when we look at Caustic's specific kit, I think he's a double B placement, as his gas has been heavily nerfed over the past couple seasons. He still has that flexibility to push or control areas with his traps and with his gas ultimate grenade. He's just not as good as he used to be, and as I have stated for many of the other legends in casual Apex, what he brings just really isn't needed. I give Catalyst the same rating as Caustic, but if I had to give the edge to one of these two legends, I would give it to Catalyst. Cat, in my opinion, has a lot of solo power due to how fast she can readily set up traps and control space. Another slight benefit to Catalyst in Season 22 will be the amount of doors that she can take advantage of, since we are in a literal city with E District. However, I simply think there are a better option when it comes to controlling space, and this is the real reason why I leave her slightly underrated compared to some of the other legends. But again, just because she is in B doesn't by any means she is bad. She can be very useful. We now have what I think is one of the best legends in all of Apex Season 22, and it is Wattson. Wattson has always been one of those legends that has a fairly low pick rate, but has one of the highest win rates per what Respawn has told us in the past. In Season 22, Wattson's ultimate upgrades are actually crazy. She can now regenerate her shield charge that her ultimate dishes out, which is going to keep the team healthy without needing to use any resources, or she can choose the option to have the regen shields at an incredibly fast rate. Either upgrade is really great, but it's her area control and her controller class that will give her a huge boost this season. Wattson already has one of the smallest hitboxes in the game, and to give her a flat boost in shields off the drop and in mid game, if you are in the ring, it's kind of a big deal. Wattson has really turned it around over the past year or so, and is one of the best supportive legends who can also control space and make some great aggressive plays. I give Wattson an A rating for general power and a god tier rating if you are playing ranked Apex Legends. If you told me last season Rampart would be one of the best legends in Season 22, I probably would have laughed, but honestly, I've said it before, all she really needed was a passive upgrade or LMG upgrade, and she has received just that. LMGs in Season 22 get more usable and more accurate the longer you hold down the trigger, and this comboed with her LMG buffs to mag size and reload are gonna let her spray and pray all game long. I haven't even said it, but controller legends being able to remotely take their barriers down is gonna help Rampart and her counterparts set up and move on without needing to be as clunky and slow. Rampart has some incredible building play now, and she also had her ultimate minigun buffed where it will be a little bit more readily available with 4 charges, so you can start using it sooner and more frequently. Rampart is truly the legend to boost damage output, control space, frag out, catch enemies off guard with that ultimate, and she deservingly gets an A ranking for general play in Apex and an S tier rating for trying to reach those upper ranks. Drop a comment with who you think still needs some buffs in Season 22, hit that like button, and check out this video for more on Season 22's meta. Happy gaming, legends.